To start with the academic procession. So once the academics are lined up outside, I will let you know so that we can rise and have the choir accompany the procession. So please give us a few minutes. Once they're outside, I will let you know. Thank you. For the academic procession. Thank you. We may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the 6th annual Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu lecture that is being held here at the University of the Free State for the first time. We hope it's not the last time. Before we begin, we would like to observe some protocol. We do have some distinguished members or guests here with us today, and so I would like to recognize them so that the other speakers don't have to do so every time they stand up, and then we'll get into the business of the day. Firstly, I would like to recognize the current president of ABASA, Ms. Linda Maqoma, and the past president of ABASA, Ms. Tantaswa Fubu. We also have the Auditor General of South Africa, Mr. Kani Maluleke, and the CEO of BDO, Mr. Bonga Mokoena. We also have the MEC of Education in the Free State Province, Mr. Makalo Mohali, and the Constitutional Court Judge, Justice Zukisa Tshiki. Then we have the Regional Vice President of the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, Dariro Mutizwa. Then we have the Market Head of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, South Africa, Poshiam Kabela. We have the co-founder and CEO of MASA Risk Advisory Services, Emma Mashilwane. The Dean of the College of Accounting Sciences at UNISA, Moses Hlongwane. We have the Technical Executive at the South African Institute of Professional Accountants, Faith Ngwenya. And then we have members of the ABASA board, Luyanda Gidini and Spokazi Jojo. And then we have the ABASA Business Forum Chairperson, Sbusi Sonduna, the Executive Director, Learning Development and National Imperatives at SAICA, Robert Zwane, the Chief Impact Officer at SAPRO, Nelly Swart, and the CEO of FASSET, Ayanda Mafuleka. And then our hosts from the University of the Free State, we have Dr. Molapo Kobela, who's the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Institutional Change, Strategic Partnerships and Societal Impact. Then we have Dr. Philip Berger, who's the Dean of the Faculty of the Economic and Management Sciences. And finally, the Director of the School of Accountancy, Dr. Franz Prinsloo. If you would help me welcome our distinguished guests. Thank you very much. And now before we begin, I would also like to let you know just the housekeeping for this afternoon. The restrooms are outside when you go out. On the right, we have the ladies, and on the left, it's the gentlemen. We also have people joining us through live stream, so we'd like to welcome them as well, and would also like to welcome the audience here today. To begin and to open this event for us, I would like to welcome the head of accounting, or the director of the School of Accountancy, Prof Franz Prinsloo. And as he walks up, I'll just read his brief profile. Prof Franz is an experienced academic, having taught teaching auditing to postgraduate CTA students aspiring to become chartered accountants for 25 years. In addition, he has played... He says he looks much younger than that. In addition, he has played a leading role in several key educational projects and committees of SAICA, including the development of the SAICA competency framework since the early 2000s. For the past 4 years, he has been the director of the School of Accountancy here at the University of the Free State, having served in this capacity also at Nelson Mandela University from 2007 to 2017. Prof Prinsloo is the author and editor of several widely prescribed auditing textbooks used at South African universities. As an alumni of this university and the School of Accountancy, it's really an honor for me to welcome you on the podium.
Thank you, MC. Good afternoon, Madam President. There's such an illustrious audience here today. I'm just going to say good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. At last, after many months and weeks of anticipation, the 6th Prof Wiseman Nkuhlu lecture has finally arrived. This event is the culmination of much planning and organization by the ABASA team, as well as by the team of the UFS School of Accountancy, ably supported by Riabetsu Parkis from our UFS EMS Dean's Office. Now, holding the 6th Wiseman Nkuhlu annual lecture at the UFS at this point is particularly appropriate and an inspired decision by Prof Nkuhlu and the ABASA leadership. given where the UFS and particularly the School of Accountancy currently finds itself. While the UFS School of Accountancy is a long-established provider of quality education to aspirant chartered accountants via our BAC program, we have in recent years worked very hard to make sure that we diversify our offering also to cater for a diverse range of students with a diverse range of career opportunities. So, for example, our BCom accounting program is currently not only accredited by the SA Institute of Professional Accountants, but also by SAICA for AGA SA purposes. Moreover, our BAC and BCom accounting programs provide recognitions towards the professional qualifications of the ACCA and CIMA. And I'm particularly pleased, and as you heard in the introduction, the leadership of these professional bodies are all represented here today. Moreover, we as a university and as a school have seen a marked transformation in our student body in the past decade, such that it is now far more representative than it has ever been before of the South African population. And we really believe this diversity is critical to ensure that our graduates are able to function effectively in the world of work that is South Africa today. Also, in ensuring the relevance of our curricula to prepare work-ready graduates, we place a premium on bringing the industry, and specifically leaders in industry, closer to the academic project and to our students. In all of this, our relationship with ABASA is especially valuable. This is not least as we are able to tap into a network of successful but diverse accountancy professionals who can serve as role models and mentors to our students, who can motivate and inspire them to achieve great heights, contributing, obviously, in turn to the development of the South African economy. And I'm convinced that ABASA events such as the one that we're having today will not only be hugely beneficial and informative to the professionals who attend and the staff who attend, but also to the students, as they are being groomed to become responsible and impactful accounting professionals in the years to come. We are therefore looking forward to partnering with ABASA and strengthening our relationship so that we can position ourselves as a leader in this, of accounting education, not only in South Africa, but also on the African continent. May today's ABASA event, as our MC said, on the UFS campus be the first of many. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Prof. And now that the event is open, I can also just introduce myself. I'm Dikeledi Munyamane. As I said earlier, I'm an alumna of this university. I'm also a chartered accountant. And not only have I been shaped by this university, but by ABASA as well. I was a chairperson of ABASA, Free State, back in my days. And I know when I stand... I know I look 15 years old. I promise you I'm not. So I'm really honored to be the program director today. And as Prof. Franz said, this university has really shaped a lot of accountants, in particular Black accountants. I myself am a product of that. And we're really excited that the university is hosting this event, just like it has hosted ABASA on this campus through the Student Association. In the past, there were partnerships with Tutuka as well. So this is one of the instrumental universities for the development of Black accountants in South Africa. With that said, the theme for this year is the value of accountants reimagined. As the world evolves, we know that the role of accountants and what they bring to the economy also evolves. So we're looking forward to our speaker today, who's going to talk more deeply on that theme. Just to tell you a little bit about ABASA and what it is, it is an organization that was established in 1985 to promote the professional interests of Black persons engaged in the accounting profession. Given the history that we have in South Africa, this is a key organization to ensure that Black people are participating in the economy and in the accounting profession. with that said, I'd like to invite the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Institutional Change, Strategic Partnerships and Societal Impact, Dr. Molabo Qobela, to also welcome us here today. And as he walks up, I will also read his profile briefly. It's quite long. Dr. Qobela is a seasoned leader in education, science, and technology with over 30 years of professional experience. He has dedicated his professional career to the development and transformation of South African higher education, science, technology, and innovation system. It's like the profs can't believe they've been here for that long. He's also shaking his head at the 30 years. He has held academic positions at Rhodes University and the University of Cape Town. He has served in executive leadership roles at the University of South Africa and senior management positions in the South African Departments of Education and Science and Technology. Welcome, Dr. Qobela.
Colleagues, this is when people get you seriously embarrassed. Old age. Madam President, it's an absolute honor and privilege to have you. I was saying to President Fubu that I'm jealous. I come into this hall from time to time when we deliver inaugural lectures, but never have we ever been serenaded like that. And so you have to come back. It was all for you. Colleagues, I have a very short input to welcome you to our university, to welcome you to Bloemfontein. We arranged the weather. You just got to know who to talk to. For those that are leaving tomorrow, I hope you have something a little warm. But really, it is an absolute honor to have you with us, Madam President. The University of the Free State is a medium-sized university. I was told by Franz, my boss, to say a few things. We're 119 years old. For those that flew in, you might have seen at the airport something about Vision 130. That's our aspiration in terms of the type of university that we would like you to find when you come here in 2034, when we turn 130 years old. We have changed a lot, as Franz has indicated, over these 119 years. Brought in the former Vista campus here in Mangaung, as well as the former campus of the University of the North in Butali-Chaba, Qwaqwa. 7 faculties, approximately 42,000 students, not small, of whom we have in excess of 1,000 of those are international students. We are here gathered because of a very special gentleman. Professor Nkuhlu has given a lot. Many of us know him as the first Black Chartered Accountant. Many of us know him as the first Black Chancellor of the University of Pretoria. I knew him before then, and he shaped the university system that we currently enjoy. And in many ways, I wish to say these few words in recognition of him. He's not here because of what we know, bereavement, but it's about a reminder of why universities exist. Why do we exist? And I would like to put 4 ideas on the table. You may have others, Madam President. The first one is we're here to meet the learning needs and aspirations of individuals through the development of their intellectual abilities and aptitudes throughout their life. So it doesn't mean that learning stops when you get your first degree or your doctoral degree. It doesn't stop. We are an important vehicle. There are better words than vehicle, but we're an important vehicle for achieving equity of opportunity and achievement and social mobility to fundamentally transform our society. That's why we're here. We're here also as part of our responsibility and obligation to address the development needs of society and our economy. That's why ABASA is with us today. And we aspire to be a knowledge-driven and a knowledge-dependent society with the ever-changing high-level competencies and expertise necessary for economic growth and prosperity. You cannot achieve that without universities. That's our responsibility. Thirdly, we're here to contribute to the socialization of enlightened, responsible, and constructively critical citizens. Our graduates must never become robots in society. We must encourage our graduates to develop a reflective capacity and a willingness to review, renew prevailing ideas, practices, and the way we do things. If we don't, we will stagnate and we'll move backwards. Fourth and last, we are here to contribute to the creation, sharing, and evaluation of knowledge and intellectual inquiry in all fields, from music, accounting, anthropology, zoology, and astronomy. Ideas do not have boundaries, and it is the responsibility of universities to nurture, to push the boundaries of knowledge. Madam President, I say this because I ask you to help us. I ask your assistance in ensuring that you hold us accountable to the promises that we make. Put fire to our feet if necessary. But if we as universities say that this is what we're going to do for you, for society, then hold us to those promises, challenge us, and make sure that we deliver on the promises that we make. Secondly, I hope you'll also, as you challenge us, support and protect the university system of our country. Protect us from the, I almost said something I shouldn't have said, from the many ills that we find. There are many, and I won't go into them. We all know what are those. Because universities are institutions of society. Without them, we do not prosper. We, as the leadership of this university, whether it's my good friend, the Dean of the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences, or Frans Prinsloo, and others that are not here, we are just merely the custodians and stewards of a system whereby we ensure that those that come after us, the future generations, will have a better education system than we have. And with those few words, Madam President, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome you to the campus of the University of the Free State in Bloemfontein, and we look forward, particularly, President Fubu, to your address. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Kobela. As he was saying, Prof. Kobela, my apologies. As he was speaking, I was reminded of the famous quote by Nelson Mandela, which we all should know. Education is the most powerful tool which he can use to change the world. And I think as chartered accountants, all of us are products of education, and we've experienced how education has opened doors for us. And continues to open doors, or will continue to open doors for us. And I think my takeaway, Prof, is that, part of what we should do as an organization is keep preaching the gospel of education, because nowadays young people have competing ideas that tell them education is not important, you can make it without education. But we know as chartered accountants that education is important. So thank you for those words, Prof. Next up, we welcome our sponsor. We're going to have a message from our sponsor, FASSET. We're going to have Ms. Ayanda Mafuleka, who is the CEO of FASSET. She is a chartered accountant with a finance career of more than 16 years, and she has operated... I think we need to remember that we have students in here that want to know. They want to know these bios. As someone that has been a student myself, yes, when we hear these bios, we become so inspired. So don't be shy. So part of her experience, her career has seen her move through high-profile and diverse public institutions such as Transnet, Anglo Platinum, South African Post Office, National Treasury, Robben Island Museum, and a few more. And in 2018, her dedication to finance was recognized when she won the Women of Stature Award as a Woman of the Year in Finance. Welcome, Ms. Ayanda.
Wow. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, thank you for the warm welcome. I must say, it is my first time setting foot in the University of Free State, Bloemfontein campus specifically. Just before I render my, the sponsor's remarks, Deputy VC, you have given me now a mammoth task to pray and petition that the CETA license that is coming to an end in 2030 is extended beyond 2034, so that FASSET is here when you celebrate your 130 years. So greetings to you all. I am not going to then recognize the dignitaries that have been already recognized, but do allow me to just greet the Madam President of ABASA, Ms. Linda Maqoma, the past presidents of ABASAs that are joining us in person and also virtually. The 13th past president of ABASA, who's going to be delivering the lecture, Ms. Fubu. I must say that she's president number 13 of ABASA. So let me say no more. The dignitaries, the administrative and academic team of the university, the FASSET team that is present and joining us virtually. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to convey my humblest greetings to our FASSET funded beneficiaries that are here, and led by Mr. James Vich. And then just want to humbly then greet our esteemed son of the African soil, one of the icons in the accountancy profession, in absentia, Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First and foremost, I just want to tender an apology on behalf of the chairperson of the FASSET board, Mr. Bongani Matibela, who couldn't attend to today, but he sends his transformational greetings to all of you. On behalf of FASSET, also would like to convey our deepest and sincere condolences to Prof Wiseman Nkuhlu and the Nkuhlu family for the sad and untimely passing on of their beloved Mr. Mandisi Nkuhlu, who is being laid to rest today. May his soul rest in peace. Also, our heartfelt condolences also go to Madam President, Ms. Linda Maqoma, her family and extended family, and the whole ABASA family for the recent and painful loss of a beloved father. May the good Lord be with you, Siswam. And Zuguta, our thought and prayers, they are with you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be part of this auspicious occasion. And thank you, ABASA, for pioneering such an excellent platform that shares greater insights for generations of professionals within the accountancy profession. ABASA continuously reaffirms the understanding and purpose of advancement of Black accountants. This is done so through recognizing pioneers such as Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu, and to showcase how important our history as the Black nation and the value to be cherished in those that they walked uncharted territory to pave way for many of us seated here, and the future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be part of the generation that lives to witness and reap the benefits of a legacy, of legacies of Black icons such as Professor Nkuhlu. Needless to say, I am a proud Black female chartered accountant. It is humbling, and also for the FASSET beneficiaries that are here, to witness that priority and focus has been placed by ABASA towards inspiring an African child to be the best they can be and strive for success. And today's lecture, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be delivered by Madam President Fubu under the theme, The Value of Accountants Reimagined, bears testimony to this. So FASSET really celebrates the legacy and the work of Prof, who has played a significant role in the accountancy profession and as well as nation building. We celebrate him for creating a lasting legacy, not only as a Black chartered accountant in South Africa, or to qualify as one, but his continued work that continue to touch many lives. He is a true embodiment of a lasting legacy, which, by the way, it is the theme. It is the theme of FASSET. We've got what we call hashtag creating lasting legacy. So through the work that we do at FASSET, we aspire to impact the lives of many South Africans through our skills development interventions that will in turn leave a long-lasting legacy that will outlive our time, like the legacy of Professor Nkuhlu. So it is the aspiration of leaving a lasting legacy that has seen us, as FASSET, partnering with ABASA. I know that FASSET and ABASA's partnership will go down in history as one of the lasting legacies. We are going to be here when you celebrate 130 years, still creating lasting legacies. So for noting as I close, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 6th lecture hosted by ABASA, and it is the 2nd lecture in kind supported by FASSET during my tenure as the CEO of FASSET. And FASSET will continue to support hashtag creating a lasting legacy. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Ayanda. I would like us to say a lasting legacy together. Let's go. Lasting legacy. Okay, not everyone said it. So I'm going to make us say it one more time. On the count of 3, a lasting legacy. A lasting legacy. Yeah, some of the people in the audience are giving me 3, 2, 1. Okay. 3, 2, 1. A lasting legacy. Thank you very much. I think that sums up everything that was just said. So with that, we'll get into an entertainment item by the UFS Choir before we move on to the next speaker.
Ya baba,
Thank you very much, UFS Choir, for that amazing item. Next on the program, we have a message from the ABASA National President, Ms. Linda Maqoma. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's lovely to be the president. You can just send a message and say, don't read the bio. And you know, it's so lovely to be here. This is the second lecture, Prof Wiseman Nkuhlu lecture outside of Gauteng. And we've been quite deliberate in line with our theme for the 3-year tenure of the presidency, driving leadership excellence through inclusive social accountability. Inclusivity in this particular context means that the work that Prof has done in the profession spreads across the country. And we must make sure that all of our branches, Free State, and last year it was in the Eastern Cape, the ones that are in the periphery, Madam President Thandi likes to call it the periphery, moving them in. You have no idea how much this particular lecture uplifts our branches. And for me, I'd like to say congratulations and well done to the team that made this all possible and supported in this vision coming to life. Thank you very much. My MC, my program director, my stalwart, my 15-year-old stalwart. Thank you for doing the protocol list. I enjoyed it last year because I said to the Vice Chancellor of Forte, it's my name-dropping moment. So you've stolen my thunder, Program Director. But for me, that list just shows the power of an ABASA to convene industry leaders in one room for a common cause. And that is the advancement of Black accountants in Southern Africa. So that protocol list for me is not just about the names and the titles. It's about the impact that ABASA has in convening and in making a change through the influence of everybody that has partnered with us over the 38 years of this organization. So I'm very privileged that today we are lectured by a past president of ABASA. The CEO of FASSET has called her by her number because for those that don't know, our founding president has a book, and I hope this book is going to reach the Free State University, and we will make a plan. Please tell President Jeff I'm doing my marketing, yeah. But you'll see in that book, it lists all the presidents of ABASA, the presidents who have led this mandate throughout the 38 years. And President number 13, who is here, and number 10 was also mentioned here, the AG. She'll be joining us later. But to be the 17th president of ABASA in 38 years is an absolute honor. But it also means more to be the 5th woman president. And I think we must, I see you all like to clap, you can clap. It's also just testament to what transformation really means for an ABASA. We are leaders in transformation even across our sister organizations, because we are not only deliberate about the racial transformation and the equity in that space, but gender transformation and making sure that women's voices are heard, women leadership is respected, and is given platform to lead. And I think we need to all learn from that, because all of us are sitting in organizations where we need to make an influence and a change around the mindset that women should lead and be given the space to lead in their own unique way. So I'm even like this row here, and all the women just looking at me is absolutely amazing. And Uma Mukoboto is here, and I must recognize that. And I think it's just so special that she has also honored the request to speak at the dinner tonight. So in honoring and commemorating and celebrating Prof's impact, I think, Mamu Koboto, your impact as the first woman, chartered accountant, Black woman chartered accountant, must be recognized. And thank you for paving the way. To the university leadership, thank you. Prof, Dean, DVC, thank you for the support. Without you and your team that just tirelessly worked, I could relax a bit. It's a rare thing to find me relaxing. So thank you for that. It's better than a spa day. To the ABASA team, Viewer and Snawo, you're here, you've been running around, and you know there's so many demands from this organization, and you made sure that today was special for this particular topic today that will be addressed by Past President Fubu. In reimagining our role as accountants is so important. When I think about Prof, he's really concerned about the state of leadership in our country. And I believe as ABASA, we are really a pool of leaders who are well-groomed. I love it when my stalwart and MC was talking about her grooming from an ABASA. And I think we need to remember that. We need to remember the leaders that have come out of here. And the generation that leads now and going into the future must be mindful of that foundation that has been laid and make sure that we strengthen it. So with that, I'm going to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for partnering with ABASA. And I want to recognize all the sponsors as well. FASSET is a key sponsor that has dedicated and committed to partnering with us for the next 3 years over this lecture, but also has indicated in 130, we will still be doing the same thing. So I think we must sign another MOU just to make sure. But also to KPMG and SAPRO that is here, and to the Nkuhlu Trust. It's nice when they put it up. And Saika. Robert, where are you? And thank you very much. I really want to also echo the inclusivity here in all of our accounting bodies being represented. ACCA, SAIPA, SAICA, SAIGA is represented here. SEMA is here. Thank you, thank you. But it really shows that it is more than just about chartered accountants. It is the accounting profession as an ecosystem and the role it plays in this country. Without further ado, I was told, my president said, hey, please make sure all the speakers don't speak too long because they might take away from my speech. So, my president, I'm the last one before you. And I know the MC will introduce you appropriately. But thank you to you as well for your commitment to this organization and for being here and lecturing us. And it was Prof's wishes after your address last year in the Eastern Cape. And I think today you're going to do him so proud. Even in his time, of mourning. So thank you, Madam President. We look forward to the address.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. I feel like going, Amanda, after she's spoken. That was such a powerful talk, and I don't know about you, but there are themes going around throughout all the things that the speakers have said. I don't know if you got it. The CEO of FASSET said the board chair sends transformational greetings. So when we talk about a lasting legacy, it's not just a lasting legacy. It's a lasting legacy of transformation, of diversity, of inclusion, of women, empowerment. So those are the themes that are coming across, right? So when we say lasting legacy, it doesn't end there. With that said, it is a great honor for me to introduce our lecturer for today, our speaker for today, Ms. Tantaswa Fubu, who is a past president of ABASA. I served under her leadership when I was in the Free State province or chapter. The word chapter just went away. So I'm just going to introduce her very briefly and let her do her talk. She is a well-regarded thought leader and keynote speaker who is well-versed in a number of different topical issues like wellness, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. She was, until November 2022, the group executive responsible for human capital and transformation at Barloworld. What is a chartered accountant doing in human capital? That is a testament of the versatility of this profession. Barloworld Limited, which is a company listed on both the SA Exchange, the JSE, and the UK Stock Exchange. She's a chartered accountant by profession, having done the UCT BCom Accountants Conversion course, cramming a 3-year BCom accounting degree into 1 year. Tantaswa is at home both in finance, as she was previously an accounting technical partner at KPMG, and in leading through people. She also led human capital at KPMG. Ms. Fubu, welcome.
Hi, Betsanan. Wow. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I do want to recognize my president, President Linda Maqoma, because that's just the discipline that we grow up in ABASA. And thank you very much for dropping all the names so that we don't have to go through that. I do want to recognize my mentor, my career sponsor, my friend, Devin Duffield, who's in the leadership of KPMG. And ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Hi, ke angikhulumi ne? Okay, I'll try it again. Good afternoon. Thank you. Now we can go. Because I'm not going to be recognizing all the protocol, I do want to recognize Professor Nkuhlu, no Mama Nkuhlu, Mama Hazel Nkuhlu, Umandima, Katata Nkuhlu. Indeed, our hearts are with them, our thoughts and prayers are with them as they go through this difficult time. Madam President Linda, also my sincere condolences to you again. Tata Ugajeni was a beautiful soul. May he forever rest in peace. I've heard people talking about what the theme is of today and keep talking about the role of accountants, and I'm thinking, I'm in the wrong place here. Because the theme is the value of accountants reimagined. It truly is a humbling experience for me to be here today to lead this lecture. When Prof called me and told me, Tanti, we were talking with Umandima, and we thought, well, hey, this year, we think you should be leading the lecture. We listened to you last year, and I thought, yes, this is the person who has thoughts around what I'm thinking about, the values, the ethics, and whatever. We thought we were the perfect person. I was just stunned. And yet I was excited as I believed that I was equal to the task. As the day came closer, I realized that I was not equal to the task. But as I stand here, I trust that God is equal to the task and therefore have nothing to fear. As this is the 6th lecture, I choose not to be biographical, as I believe that his biography has been sufficiently covered in the lectures that predate this one. It was only last year, Madam President, that President Victor Sekese did an amazing job in sharing a bit of who Professor Nkuhlu is. Therefore, any biographical references would be as they seek to challenge us and propel us into the utopia future which we must envision if we wish to have a life as significant and legacy creating as Professor Nkuhlu's life is. This lecture is also not meant to sanctify Professor Nkuhlu or offer sainthood. I'm no priest, I'm no bishop, so I can't do that. But it's merely to start us and to leave us with the notion that we can and we should take a leaf or leaves out of his life and out of his book. And to say, because he's not a saint, he is just a person like us. What he has done is simple things, but he's done them in an extraordinary manner. And we, simple people, can therefore aspire to be who he has been to us, the profession. What challenge does his life mean for us? What is the power of Professor Nkuhlu's life? How does his life instruct us to be? For me, that is the critical, challenging question. Most of us know Utatu Nkuhlu as, the first black accountant in South Africa. I do believe, though, that he's a pathfinder, and if we confine his being first black accountant into a race issue, into just being about blackness, we will not do justice to his legacy. I want to argue that Professor Nkuhlu's value to us as a country, not just as accountants, is how he has stuck to his values. His personal values, which are predicated on societal values. It would have been nice, but futile, if Professor Nkuhlu was merely just the first black chartered accountant, devoid of the values that informed what he did, because he would not have been able to shape the accountancy and the accounting field into what it has come to be known now. As symbolic as it is to be the first one, we would not be here today, I submit, interrogating what his life means and should mean for our collective future. Because being black is just an accident of your birth. Therefore, what more should we be looking at? What is it that you're gifting us? Because, Madam President, not every black-skinned person is black. Therefore, blackness alone is never enough. What is a different model that Professor Nkuhlu is giving to us? That lasting legacy. What is a different model that he's giving to us of how to be as accountants, of how accounting should be and should be experienced? We need to ask, in him giving himself to the world, to the accountancy profession, did he bring along his experience, his humanhood, his growing up experiences? Did it bring along the pain of the people that he has been with? Did it bring any sense of Ubuntu into the corridors where he walked throughout his professional life? We must remember that we've lived through a journey where many first blacks have not necessarily remained black once they got into the corridors of power. It will then befall of us not to interrogate Professor Nkuhlu's values that are as clear as daylight for and to everyone who encounters him, as these are the values that I believe will lead us to a renewal of not only our profession, our economy, but our country and the world as well. And so, Madam President, this, I conducted a quick survey. I think it was a Saturday. Shame everyone who's in my phone book got the question. And the question I asked people was, what values scream the loudest when they encounter Professor Nkuhlu? I must confess, the responses poured in. And as people are people, some stuck to the script, gave me do-do-do-do, and others wrote me thesis and, dissertation about Professor Nkuhlu, which I really enjoyed reading, but it was not part of the question. If it was an exam, they would have failed the exam. As I internalized what I got, I then asked myself a question. So why are we where we are as a profession, as a country? If we have Professor Nkuhlu and we can see his being, he's living the values right in front of our eyes, and yet it's not coming together. What is the problem? Why are we not modeling our lives around this role model that we have? So let me just give you a snippet of my survey, what it revealed. Some of the words that came as values, Professor Nkuhlu's values, included humility, family man, integrity, ubuntu, excellence, caring, intelligence, and you've said, Madam President, concerned about the state of the leadership of our country, courageous, gracious, a force to be emulated. And from number one, President Jeff. President Jeff, in his thesis, said this, or at least part of his thesis. He said, Prof Nkuhlu may have been the first, but he made damn sure that he was not the last. And there were many more responses that were like that. So with that, we can agree that Prof has not just been a carrier of time. You know, there are leaders who get into leadership spaces. Nothing changes except the 24 hours that keep changing and the days become different. But nothing substantially changes, and we cannot say that about Professor. What we need to engage in is how has his being influenced and changed the spaces that he has been in. So, because I was curious about how was he brought up? Who influenced him? I went back and I read Luvuyo's book, you know, The Life of Purpose, where he writes about Professor Nkuhlu. To look at what was his values, you know, and I could pick up that as a result of the influence of his parents and his grandmother in particular, growing up in the community yaseQala, his school teachers, indeed his friends, his comrades, he is the person that he is today. All these people have played a critical role in shaping him into the being he is. We therefore owe all of these people a huge debt of gratitude because of what they have gifted us. Luvuyo writes, and I quote about how Professor Nkuhlu started reading the Bible with the fundamental question that arose in his being, and it reads thus, so I want to quote this and read it properly. This is Professor Nkuhlu now speaking. I read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations, and I thought it's just like him, you know, to leave it anyway, halfway. It left me with a question about being created in the image of God. It became a strong belief in me that we are created in the image of God, and therefore it's only God who can decide one's destiny. And getting fascinated that God sent his son, this son of his, why am I also not that son or daughter in terms of my role on earth? I think that sums it up. Professor Nkuhlu, at an early age, decided that he was going to be that son or daughter of God, and his role on earth would be predicated on that being the servant and the son of God who is here for the people of God. It was interesting as I juxtaposed that reading the Steinhoff book and reading what Joste was, is that his name? Is correct name? Yeah. What he was doing as a youngster. He had a fascination with betting on horses, and he was going with his father to horsing races and betting and betting. And I was like, wow, interesting how one is brought up has a thread into who you become. Because I think Joost was fascinated by money, and yet here is someone who has the same experiences, the same opportunities, choosing to be excited by bringing the betterment of the people. Luvuyo then goes on to say that these teachings began to sensitize Prof not only to think about what was his particular purpose in the world. How then do we think beyond who we are and start engaging. Why were we even created? Why are we here in this room today? What is my role? What is your role? What is my purpose? Could that be the point of us discovering the true value of what we as accountants must and should bring to life? If we were to carry Professor Nkuhlu's legacy to future generations, lasting legacy, hashtag, I believe the questions that he asked himself are therefore the questions we should be asking ourselves now. Better late than never, ne? The thing is, we need to build towards a utopian future because it is not only possible, it is probable, but only if we hope and we can see it in our mind's eyes. I want to argue that the substantive challenge we have to deal with, therefore, as we march resolutely to the best future we can have, a future we should want to have, is leadership that is not devoid of values. We have leaders in South Africa. The major problem that we're facing is leadership, whose leadership is not predicated on values. And thievery is not a value. The moral decay of our country is evident for everyone to see. And because the accounting profession and the accounting professionals are a subset of the entire country, we find ourselves beset with the same problems that our country is facing in our profession. And sadly, we find it difficult to sidestep and to deal with this cancer that is spreading faster than the speed of lightning. Why then would I call out the accounting profession and accountants when the challenges are clearly not confined to accountants? Firstly, I believe that charity begins at home. It would not help move the country forward if we had lawyers calling out accountants. I think there's value in your kin, the people who look like you, the people who've been trained like you, standing up and putting a mirror to you and saying, this is who we are, this is who we look like, this is how the world is experiencing us. And asking the question, is this how we want to be? Is this how we want to be experienced by the world? Secondly, accountants generally occupy leadership positions and roles. I give, yeah? Yeah? Mm. Just look at the suit of many companies and count how many accountants are there, even human capital people. The challenge then that we need to look at is, as our profession catapults us into positions where we decide to ply our trade, if we don't bring the values, the societal values, the values that are good to the society, we pose a systemic risk to this country and the world. If we do not get us leading from a set of firm values, yet if we do get this right, there's a chance that we'll usher in a different and best future based on societal values for generations to come. This is not only our burden, it is the value that we should and can bring to this country and the world over. As much as accountants, we have been embroiled in scandals like Enron, Steinhoff, I believe that as accountants, we have the wherewithal to lead based on societal values. The other challenge that we must call out is what I call the finance department syndrome. I do not know about you, but in my career, and even after I had left the corporate space, I have had so many young accountants coming to me crying about how they get treated by other accountants, senior finance people, senior chartered accountants in the spaces where they ply their trade. There seems to be a culture that we're cultivating as accountants, a culture that is subhuman. We need to have a rethink about who we are and who we have become. Madam President, I said to you the other day, I'm not sure whether it's in the training of us as accountants that makes us callous, insensitive, and deaf to the silent cries of the people that we lead. I'm not sure what it is, but it is something that needs to be engaged with. It is something that needs to be challenged. And I'm glad we have all these accounting bodies here, because we need to look at what is it that's in our DNA that makes us so. Why do we create fear and lack of trust in the spaces that we are in? I challenge us, those who do engagement surveys, to look at those things that we do, the results, and just compare the results of the accounting finance department with the results of everyone else in that organization, and tell me what you see. There's something fundamentally wrong that needs to be addressed. What is it that we're engraving in our DNA when we study, when we do articles? What is it that we're not seeing? And how can it be reversed? Madam President, is there a role for ABASA, as we want people to be able to flower, and be the best of who they can be? Is there a role in playing with the corporate and saying, how do you get to be here? And therefore, what is it that we can help you with? That is, accountants, we seem to have lost our voices when we need to call out leadership that seeks to self-enrich, and leadership that seeks to be served instead of serving. I struggle to understand whether this is due to oblivion or lack of courage. When did we as accountants become cowards? Until when are we gonna continue selling our souls to the highest bidder? And until when are we gonna offer the souls of those we should be looking after as stewards? Until when are we gonna offer those souls on the altars of our egos? We must refuse to sit in concert with leadership that is narcissistic, as it inflicts pain on the people it's supposed to be looking after. This profession, this country, and the world can no longer afford to have leaders who are seduced and drunk on power. We cannot continue to applaud leadership that has a distasteful disregard for the people it leads, and that should be serving instead. Our problems do start when people are afraid to speak up. That even as they see that, an organization is going towards an iceberg, they keep quiet instead of warn of the imminent danger. Our problems are compounded by leaders who cannot and do not call out other leaders who are reckless in leading. If you do not call out your colleague, you are complicit in what your colleague is doing. Our problems are that leaders believe that values are those things that you hang on the walls instead of being a state of being. I dare say, Madam President, and maybe this is a bit controversial, our problems start with us as auditors who sign off clean audit reports. When we know that the workers are burning out, that they are depressed and consistently anxious, without even as a mention in our management letter as just a housekeeping matter. Our problems begin when we finish doing audits, having asked and interrogated all the financial ratios, and yet we do not even ask a single question on people ratios. How can it be that as a profession that's so exposed to what people go through, we do not give any thought to and about the people? How indeed can we be custodians of financial markets without giving even a side glance to the people in the engine rooms of those financial markets? If leadership is not predicated on specific, certain, and sound societal values, what is the likely future that we're ushering in? When our leaders are not truly concerned about who they lead, the communities around them, we will forever change the face of leadership, and yet nothing will substantially change. We need to create a burning platform based on Prof's lived values, not what he says, but his being and how we have experienced him. We must accept that keeping to the values that our profession, country, and the world needs will mean that at times one will exclude themselves from any gravy aeroplane. Because it's no longer a train now, it's an aeroplane. As well as the intentionality and willingness not to win the Miss and the Mr. Congeniality contest. Let us not kid ourselves. We will pay a heavy price when we stick with these values. Integrity has never been and will never be cheap. The greatest issue here, I submit, is that I have not said anything here that any one of us doesn't know. The saddest thing that could happen is if we start wanting to point fingers and say it's that person who does that. We need to introspect. We need to self-introspect. What role has each and every one of us played in the furtherance of this status quo? The problem is, as accountants, once trusted advisors across different industries, we have lost our appetite to speak truth to power. There was a time, and Devon used to love saying this, there was a time when it was a badge of honor for an auditor to be fired by a client because the auditor would not change her findings, even under immense pressure. Those times are sadly gone. Madam President, we know that these things happen, yet we choose to turn a blind eye because no matter how much money we seem to make and amass, it appears we remain in the grips of the politics of the stomach. We choose to not see and hear the loud, silent cries of the people. Indeed, sometimes we choose to self-preserve as we do not want to burn bridges. The question for me is, what use is it trying to save a bridge when the whole country is burning? How dare we act as if we do not know? How dare we act as if we do not see? How dare we act as if we were not taught ethics? How dare we shirk off fundamental responsibilities for the sake of temporary comforts and conveniences? As I normally say to all my friends when they get, the nice big positions, the call to leadership is truly about always choosing courage over comfort. If you're not ready to sacrifice personal comfort for courage, leadership is not for you. It is Frantz Fanon in The Wretched of the earth, who writes, "It so happens that the unpreparedness of the educated classes, the lack of practical links between them and the mass of the people, their laziness, let it be said, their cowardice at the decisive moment of the struggle will give rise to tragic mishaps." As professionals, executives, and indeed black accountants, we seem to be either unprepared, unwilling, and afraid to deal with societal challenges facing us. We continue to other people who are not at our levels, either educationally, financially, or in terms of corporate hierarchy structures. We have stopped seeing and giving value to people who are perceived as being inferior or junior to us in one dimension or other. We have become immunized to the suffering of the people all around us. We accountants are hardly heard challenging the rot that keeps rearing its ugly head in our communities as we are engulfed by cowardice at best and self-preservation at worst. This and our cowardice to challenge the wrongs that are taking place in plain sight has and continues to give rise to tragic mishaps. In this country, we have democratized shamelessness and corruption. Today, we are grey-listed as a country. The rand exchange rate with major global currencies is ludicrous, yet we remain mum as accountants. We do and say absolutely nothing. As Paulo Freire puts it, we have grown into being a nation with contempt for common good, and many crimes go unpunished. We seem to be oblivious to the iceberg that we're headed for. We should then not really feign surprise when violent uprising, and demonstrations take place. We should look at the 2 weeks in July of 2021 as but a precursor of what this country could be, a precursor of where this country is going. And next time it's not going to be 2 weeks in July, only in Durban and in Gauteng. Probably will be a month, probably will be 2-3 months across the country. Because we have chosen to keep quiet. Every day, with every action and inaction, we are helping to chip away at the hope that has carried this nation for years. Hopelessness is fast becoming our DNA, or part of our DNA. The problem with that is that when people lose hope, they stop trying. They stop trying to improve their lives, because what's the point? They stop trying to live. They stop valuing life. As a result of hopelessness, this nation has become paralyzed and immobilized. We seemingly have accepted our fate and have lost the energy to fight for a better life. A safer, a kinder nation. We are fast losing the essence of who we can be at our best. And we have lost hope, because for hope to thrive, it has to be predicated in practice. It is again Paulo who reminds us that as an ontological need, hope needs practice in order to become historical concreteness. We need to revive this nation. We need to inject hope into the veins of every citizen. so that we can begin the much required struggle of going towards our utopian future. A future where we thrive as a country. A future where justice, fairness, and societal values are the norm, not the scorn. A future where the positions that we hold are not used for personal interest and gratification. And the people who work with us are not used as subjects for our amusement. A future where wrongdoing is called out and punishable within the precepts of the law. These problems are indeed societal, but we shall lay them at the feet of the accountants. And the reason is simple. We are part of this country. Our accountants are but people too. These problems, they are instructive to the value that who we are can bring into the society. As people who pride themselves in being educated, we should be instrumental in moving this country further and forward, in moving this country into better spaces, in delivering a better future for this country. We can't leave that to politicians. We need to ask ourselves, beyond signing off on annual financial statements, what is the tangible value that the world expects of us? There's a need for us as accountants to wake up and recognize that the house is burning. And we need to decide whether we're going to continue slumbering as we merge into the resultant ashes, or are we going to wake up, find the hose pipes and the buckets to extinguish the engulfing flames. We have unfortunately been found to be either lacking in consciousness and awareness in most instances. We have left the dominant structures in corporate unchanged, and we have just strengthened them. Structures that give credence to power of sexism, chauvinism, misogyny, racism, and all the other ism diseases. We are indifferent to the suffering of the people as long as it is not us. We are active participants in subjecting people to evil hardships. What happened to us? It is Angela Davis who tells that the black men have fully assimilated the behaviors of their oppressors, and that there is a need for them to relearn what it means to be in a position of power. I do want to add to Ms. Davis' point and say that black women too have assimilated how to be oppressive, manipulative, and indeed destructive. There is indeed a lot that we need to unlearn and relearn. It seems that we not only accepted the dominion of others over us, but idolized it so much and aspired to be like them. We have heard how people talk about Professor Nkuhlu and his values. How we believe he is a servant, he is humble, he sacrifices himself for others. How then do we become true to his legacy if this is who we have become and continue to be? If the problems enumerated above go unchecked, if we are comfortable with the current state of affairs, soon and very soon. Sounds like a song, eh? Soon and very soon. Soon and very soon, we will need bigger, stronger fences and higher walls around our homes. probably will need many Uber cars to deliver the groceries from Woolies that we'll be ordering in because we're scared of going out into the streets. The anger of our people is rising. And at some point, it will get into tipping point. Maybe we should prepare ourselves for a future where we can never leave our homes because we have failed to deal with societal ills. And then the ills of the society will be dealing with us. Maybe we should ask ourselves, is this the kind of society, is this the kind of future we want to give to our children? If this is the society we're gifting to our children, intentionally and deliberately, because we can't feign ignorance, I want to argue that we are not being true to Professor Nkuhlu's legacy. What is the alternative? The alternative is a country, a profession led by people with impeccable values. A country, a profession that is so deeply connected to its people that not only hears their silent cries but anticipates them and acts so that our people are no longer crying but thriving. A country that has and recognizes that it has the wherewithal to eradicate poverty. And please, I didn't say not to reduce poverty. We have everything we need to eradicate poverty. The problem is that for those of us who are able to be in the eating trough, we eat until we puke when someone next to us, if they had saliva, they would be salivating. But because they don't have, but they're so hungry, their mouths are dry, they're not salivating, but we're puking. The alternative is a country that cares for its young, and the young have all the opportunities to be their best. A country that is concerned and does something about preserving the wellness and the well-being of its citizens. A country where its people are peaceful as they are safe, where justice, fairness are the order of the day. And how do we achieve the alternative? By redefining and introducing a new and common language around the values we hold sacrosanct. For instance, if we talk about integrity, if integrity to us is only about doing the right thing all the time, even when no one is looking, we are in trouble. Integrity has to be about doing the right thing, both doing the right thing, e.g. not stealing, as well as ensuring that everyone else does the right thing. That has to be integrity. So we have to ensure that no one steals, and that those who steal, they are held responsible. That is how broadly we should be concerned with our profession and our country. It can't be about the individual. Individualism has no space in the future that we should be creating. We indeed need to bring a level or levels of consciousness and commitment to our being. Leo Tolstoy says, "There is no deed in this life so impossible that you cannot do it. Your whole life must be lived as a heroic deed." How fortunate are we, therefore, that we have Professor Nkuhlu, who has demonstrated exactly this through his being. How then can we still not be convinced that all of us can be and must be heroes of our people, heroes of tomorrow's history, by choosing to do what's right today, but also by ensuring that the spaces we are in, people are doing what is right. We must commit to being heroes of those we lead and live amongst instead of being their damagers. We must be professionals and leaders who prioritize the wellness and well-being of the people we work with, those in the communities we come from, where we stay, including our families. What we miss is the downward impact on the ecosystem. If you are a professional, if you are an executive, if you're a senior person, and you're spewing narcissism and negative energy onto someone else, they can't take it back to you because you are in a position of power. What do? They go to their families. That negative energy has to get out of their system, and they spew it into their families, who probably can't talk back. And if they have kids, those kids have nowhere else to spew that negative energy to, rather than at the playground at school. And we wonder why we have bullies, children bullying others. We never link it up and say it starts here. It starts with us at corporate. It starts with us accountants. And what we see in the school playground is a direct result of who we are and who we have become. For the alternative, courage is needed. In this alternative, commitment to standing alone in some of the most difficult times is an absolute requirement. We can no longer afford to hide behind populism and its related chants while the country is burning. For this alternative to take root, we must be prepared to pay the highest price, remembering that Prof Nkuhlu at some point was also imprisoned because he stood on certain values and ideals. We are in luck. We have people like Prof Nkuhlu who have done this. We're not starting from ground zero. And the truth is, about 99% of black accountants have never really met Prof Nkuhlu in person. But their lives have forever been positively impacted just because he is. We indeed stand on courageous and conscientious steps that Prof Nkuhlu took. If we are to honor Prof Nkuhlu, Madam President, as we should, it won't be through filling up this wall. And yes, that's nice as well. See people smiling, even if they're not smiling. It will be by changing fundamentally the lives of the people in Mangaung, in Zwelitsha, in the Eastern Cape, Kuqumbu, and in Thohoyandou. It will be by changing experiences of the people we work with on a daily basis. You know, the people who cannot sleep on a Sunday as they are becoming anxious about going to work on a Monday. If we are to honor Prof Nkuhlu's legacy, we will realize that his values had nothing to do with him being an accountant. His values had everything to do with his existence as a human being. And his work in the accounting space was built on these existential values. Prof being an accountant has not been baseless. It has not been in a vacuum, but it is predicated on his values. In conclusion, I want to challenge us and point out that amongst us here, there are many potential Professor Nkuhlus. We are just gripped by cowardice, fear, semi-consciousness, self-preservation, individualism, etc. We need to rise up and be the best of who we can be. We cannot and must not dare wait for Prof to not be amongst us before we multiply. You know, they say, he didn't die, he multiplied. No, he lives and we multiply. Dracula Cornell tells us that the power of utopia allows us to imagine a world that we do not know, that we can only know as we create it. Therefore, let's not be dismissive of the future state of utopia. Let's not be dismissive that we can be best, that this country can be an amazing country, that the leadership can be amazing. Let's hold on to that utopia. Because if we allow utopia to challenge us, it will take us into this world that we do not yet know. There is a humanity that we have not explored outside of being accountants. We seem to be stuck in being accountants instead of asking ourselves, what does it mean to be an accountant who doesn't simply count the assets of the society or the companies, but is in the transformative edge of making society renewed in new fundamental ways? We have what it takes to give new purpose to being an accountant. In stealing the words of my priest, I will say, accounting and accountants must have a master, and that master is life. If accounting and accountants don't have a master that is life, then they exist only for themselves. The master being life means that accountants and accounting become servants of life. Any accountant who therefore diminishes life in any way will be betraying the nobility of life. Let us commit to not betray life and its nobility. We can be better than that. We are better than that. Let us prove to us, to the world, that we are indeed better than that. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Sure. Yeah, I heard a lot of people going, yo, yes. That was a really powerful talk. We were not expecting anything less. Thank you, Sister Nti. When she was talking, I reflected on my first encounter with Prof Nkuhlu. It was in 2009 at a SAICA event. And back then, I was a very spoiled accounting student, complaining about everything. And I remember when he shared his journey, it was like he was holding up a mirror, you know, saying, these are all the things I had to encounter to become a chartered accountant. Your problems surely do not even, do not even live up to mine. So as you were talking, it felt like I was encountering Prof once again, where he's holding up a mirror to us, saying, yes, there are challenges in our country, but also there's a solution. We are the solution. And we cannot remove ourselves from these problems. So thank you for that, Sister Nti. It was a timely reminder. As Prof continues to leave a legacy of value-based leadership and servant leadership, it's a message to us that we can be better as well, and we can be heroes. So thank you for that. Let's give her, once again, a round of applause. We're a bit behind on the program. Apologies for that. We will try and speed up the rest of the program. At this point, we are going to play, I believe, a message from Prof Nkuhlu. So if you can take it away.
The President of ABASA, Madam Linda Makoma, Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Free State, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. It is with great delight that I salute you this afternoon at the ABASA 6th Annual W.L. Nkuhlu Lecture at the University of Free State. I thank you most sincerely for your presence and love of the chartered accountancy profession, for joining ABASA and President Linda Makoma in continuing to inspire young people to join the profession, to choose careers in accounting and auditing. This is a great profession with great responsibility to society. Through these lectures, we hope to inspire members of the profession, those who are already qualified, and those who aspire to qualify, to understand very deeply their role in society. In particular, their role in ensuring that decision makers have accurate and reliable information for decision making. And for those members of our profession who choose to be auditors or those who aspire to be auditors, we hope through these lectures exercise their stewardship and management of resources entrusted them to society. This is a huge responsibility. Today, I'm deeply indebted to Tantaswa Fubu, a past president of ABASA, for accepting my invitation to deliver the 6th annual lecture this afternoon. I have great admiration for her as a professional and for her achievements as a business leader, not only as a chartered accountant, CASA, but as a great leader who has inspired and energized many to achieve their greatness. True to her style, she has chosen a challenging subject for this afternoon: the value of accountants reimagined. Yes, it is necessary and prudent for us as a profession to pause from time to time and re-examine the relevance of the profession to society, our relevance to society, the contribution that we make to society. To ask the difficult question, are we the difference makers that we claim to be? I thank her immensely for accepting the invitation, and I have no doubt she will really challenge and inspire all of us this afternoon. Finally, I thank all of you for your presence and for your passion for the profession. I thank again most sincerely the President of ABASA, Madam Linda Makoma, for her leadership and her team for making today possible. I'm deeply indebted to her and her team. I thank also the University of Free State for hosting this event, for being such wonderful host. I'm sorry that I could not join you in person this afternoon, but I have no doubt that your afternoon has been inspiring or will be inspiring and energizing. May God bless you with wisdom and abundance. I thank you.
Beautiful message from Prof Nkuhlu that needs no interpretation, really. Next up, we have a solo item by Zamanda Bezita. Thereafter, we'll have a vote of thanks by Prof Philip Berger, who's the Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Management Sciences. So if you could just stand after Zama has performed. Thank you.
Sanibonani. Ninjani. Wow, I'm so glad that people in Free State can actually respond, because usually, as a Zulu person, Mauti Sanibonani in Free State is always a wow, what a very, I'm not an accounting student, unfortunately, but it's such an eye-opening experience, especially for someone who's in a different faculty, who's studying something different. So yeah, very, very beautiful event. So allow me to reintroduce myself. Sanibonani, my name is Zama Zulu, formerly known as Zamanda Bezita. And I really hope that the song today will just encompass the entire event and just see you guys off well. Thank you so much.
and I know He was. I think we can give her another hand. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an enormous privilege for me to do just a word of thanks to this afternoon because, we started off with Dr. Kobela telling us that learning doesn't stop when you walk out of an institution with a qualification. And I think we'll all agree that this afternoon we learned a lot. Yes, we had a master class this afternoon, I think, in terms of the importance of values, of life, of accountability, to keep ourselves accountable, to keep others accountable, not just for accountants, but for in general for us as human beings. And I think, people always talk about these things as if these are soft skills or soft science. These are not soft sciences. This is very hard. And I think that the courage you talked about, that to me was very, very special. So from my side, from the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences at the University of Free State, thank you for that amazing message we got from you. Ladies and gentlemen, a very special thank you to Professor Nkuhlu in his absence, and also from our side as an institution, university, our condolences with the loss in his family. But a special word of thanks to him and the ABASA leadership for bringing the 6th annual Professor Wiseman Nkuhlu lecture to the Bloemfontein campus of the University of the Free State. We really appreciate the special relationship that we have built with ABASA, and we look forward to collaborating with you in the years to come, from the boardroom to the classroom and back. Thank you also to the partners and sponsors that made this afternoon possible. The contributions of ABASA, the UFS School of Accountancy, to FASSET, and yes, we would love to see you in 2034. The Wiseman Nkuhlu Trust, SAPRO, SAICA, and KPMG are duly noted and acknowledged. Next, I want to acknowledge the valuable message shared by our keynote speaker, President Fubu. You addressed an important topic for us, and I think really, really relevant for us in our society at the moment where we need such intellectual leadership. Thank you for the special guests acknowledged by our MC earlier and the other invitees who often traveled great distances. I noticed you traveled from all corners of the country to be here today for this really special event. I trust that you enjoyed your lecture and the hospitality of the UFS. Also, the valuable contribution of our MC for today. Ms. Dikeledi Monyamani, in keeping the program on track, and is also recognized and appreciated. In their absence, we sincerely thank the UFS choir. Yes, no, they're still there. They're not absent. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a delight. So, yes, we have wonderful products. Huh? Yes. A lot of hard work went into the behind-the-scenes activities to make this event possible. And at this point, there is a huge risk that the names of important role players, will be omitted. But the contribution of the ABASA team under the leadership of President Makoma, thank you so much. Wonderful, thank you so much. And also to Ms. Fiwe Pasha. Yes, thank you, wonderful. The EMS Faculty External Liaison Officer, Ms. Riabet Swiparkis. Yeah, I think you're somewhere here. There at the back, yes. and the team from the UFS School of Accountancy that for your special role today. Also, the service providers who contributed to today's success. China Caterers for the catering and the flowers, Roystel for the videography and the live streaming, Star Sound for the audio, and Stephen Collett for the photography. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. I'm so glad the program director didn't have to do the vote of thanks. You did a great job, Prof. So lastly, before we close the program, we'd just like to ask Ms. Mafuleka, Ms. Maqoma, and Ms. Fubu just to come and receive their gifts. Thank you for gracing us today. You were not expecting gifts. Yes, depends on where you work. We also have a gift for Prof Prinsloo. You can just come. Thank you so much. All right. So we have come to the end of the program. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Thank you to our guests of honor. Thank you to the students who were here. We really appreciate your presence, and we are certain that you got a lot out of this event. There is a professional excellence dinner taking place later, so to those who will be there, we hope you enjoy that. Have an amazing rest of the day. Thank you. There's someone who has lost their keys. If you can just come to me. Are we taking a picture afterwards? Are we taking a picture afterwards? Yes. Okay. If you could please stay seated until the procession has left the room. If we can just allow them to leave the room first, and then we can all leave. Thank you.